All right, welcome everybody. I am Love Coach Scott Katamas, and welcome to the Awakening World. I'm especially excited because we are now carrying the Awakening World all three shows every weekend on Unify, and this is kind of our debut of the Awakening World on Friday night on Unify. So welcome everybody on Facebook watching us, whether you're watching on Unify or Love Coach Academy or Global Peace Tribe. And you can still come on into our Zoom room. It's easy. Just go to globalpeacetribe.com, register, you'll get a link, and you can come on into the Zoom room where we're going to be directly interacting. And we're going to have a lot of Q&A. We've got a wonderful set of guests. I'm going to briefly show you our guests, and then I'm going to play a really fun video. But first and always foremost, there she is. She's back after a hiatus of a month. Welcome back, Trish.
Thank you very much, Scott. It's nice to be here tonight and to especially be, here holding the container for such a powerful topic and something deeply close to my heart. I think that we all can be a more loving collective if we just open our ears and open our hearts.
Absolutely. And we have also with us one of my oldest friends. This is Oshawa Demarcus, and Oshawa and I have been making mischief together for decades. I'll just leave it at that. And she is really, for me, of all the people I know, the most extraordinary example of a community activist, someone who's very dedicated to her community, in her case, Marin City. And we're going to hear all about that and the work she's doing, and how I believe that Oshawa is carrying the vision of Martin Luther King very much through her work. Just joining us, and I didn't know she was going to be with us tonight, but I'm delighted. We've got Antoinette with us. And Antoinette is who we are actually, so she's with us, so now we'll get to hear from her. And also we are doing fundraising for Antoinette and what she's all about this weekend. So happy to have you with us, Antoinette. It's a wonderful surprise. And we also
Thank you
have...
for having me.
We love you. We absolutely love you. And I'm going to show a video that you might recognize in a few minutes. And then the last official presenter tonight is Becky Suzuk. And Becky is, would it be right to say, the co-creator, the co-founder of the MLK Beloved Community Convergence?
I'm a co-creator. John Raymer is the idea from Compassion Games, and I'm supporting him, partner in love here for the MLK Convergence. Looking forward to sharing about it. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. It's great to have you. And welcome, everybody, all the people in our Zoom room. I see a lot of our familiar friends that are with us, and I see some new friends that are with us as well. It's always fun. Let's get that chat box going. You can always start by telling us your name and where you are geographically. But this weekend is all about Martin Luther King's legacy, what he means to us. And so I would love for you to put into the chat box what his legacy means to you, what his vision means to you. I see we've got two wonderful leaders, Jerry Anderson, that wild mystic abbot. I'll put the spotlight on him for a minute. And we've also got Deborah Moldow, who is going to be actually my guest in this show a week from now. But Reverend Deb and Jerry, definitely would love to hear from you sometime tonight as well, kind of what Martin Luther King has meant to you, how he's inspired you. So that's really what we're going to be talking about. And to get that started, I am going to play a wonderful video to kind of get us going.
Yeah. This one is dedicated to the King, Martin Luther King, our civil rights champion. Understand me, no man. And this one is dedicated to all the people all over the world, to every man and woman, every boy and girl. To everyone who believes that equal rights and justice should apply to all, regardless of our color, class, or creed. This one's for Martin Luther King, our frontline soldier, Martin Luther King, our peaceful warrior, Martin Luther King, our civil rights leader, Martin Luther King. This one's for him. Well, just like MLK, I have a dream today. And like Bob Marley, I got so much things to say. Hey, wanna talk about empathy, equity and equality. Wanna talk about ending war and how to end poverty, how to end racial hate and police brutality. Cause where there's no justice, oh Jah, there can be no peace. Seems like humanity is in a state of emergency. We need more ethical leaders with a sense of integrity, like Martin Luther King, our frontline soldier, Martin Luther King, our peaceful warrior, Martin Luther King, our civil rights leader, Martin Luther King. This one's for him. You see, there are so many problems, and we need some solutions. Yes, let's get together now and start a love revolution. And we can't stop, no we can't slow up. We gotta keep pressing on. If you can't run then walk, can't walk then it's time to crawl. He said, hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Darkness can't drive out darkness, only light can do that. He said, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. I've decided to stick with love, hate is too much to bear. He said, you can kill the dreamer, but you can't kill the dream. You see, unconditional love will rule in eternity. He said, the time is always ripe to do what is right. Lord, I hear the voice of Jesus say, don't give up the fight. He said, where do we go from here? Chaos or community, my people. Instead of fighting each other, show some unity. He said, we fight injustice with civil disobedience. So speak up, don't be silent, and always remain non-violent. Yeah, let's work it out, don't fight it out. Come on everybody, let me hear you sing it. Let's work it out, don't fight it out. This one is for the king. Let's work it out, don't fight it out. Come on everybody, one more time. Let's work it out, don't fight it out. Yeah. This one's for Martin Luther King, our frontline soldier, Martin Luther King, our peaceful warrior, Martin Luther King, our civil rights leader, Martin Luther King. This one's for him. This one's for Martin Luther King, our frontline soldier, Martin Luther King, our peaceful warrior, Martin Luther King, our civil rights leader, Martin Luther King. This one's for him.
I have a dream that one day this nation will rise up, live out the true meaning of its creed. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. I have a dream
Who doesn't have tears right now? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that just made me so emotional.
Wow.
Ooh, let me just breathe. Ooh, child.
Yeah. It's like Pato's music gets us going, and then when we, hear his words, it's just like it's overwhelming. Wow.
That's beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that, Scott.
Oh my God, Antoinette. And thank you. There you were in the video. Maybe since I think you know Pato pretty well. Any sharing about that
No,
particular
was that you
piece?
playing the piano?
Yes, that was.
Oh, get
That
out of
was. I wrote the
Dodge. Oh
music.
my God.
It
I was
was
like,
weird.
that your face looks familiar. It's like, okay, what? Okay, go girl.
I got a little bit of transitions going on right now. It's a few of them and stuff like that. But that's one of my modes. But yeah, when we were doing this project and the music, the music, he said he wanted. I told him one night. I said I love this gospel music. He wanted a gospel song, and I was like, I don't write gospel music. I've always wanted to, but I have such a love and a fascination. I said, let's go watch some. I said, these are some of my favorite artists, So one night we sat down on YouTube and I showed him all my favorite. It was just like hours and hours and hours of gospel. And I was like, oh, I just got to learn those gospel chords, 9th, 11th, 13th, 14th, this, that. Why don't we try all these different movements and everything? So I kind of do like the musical aspect of the writing of the music when we do our music. And then he does the lyrical content and how he puts the music together as far as verse, choruses, content, visual imagery, and things like that. So that's what he's doing now, or else he would actually be here. He's sitting there like trying to create more and more videos.
I like that you did the black and white theme because it engaged you in that time, right? Taking you there.
Yeah, and it's really
era.
crazy. And I loved how he did that too. He doesn't tell me his creative process. It's like, leave him alone. He goes in there and he does his work, and then he comes out, here's the finished product. I'm not allowed to like sneak peek or anything. And that picture of Martin Luther King is actually my grandparents' picture of Martin Luther King, and they're from Birmingham, Alabama. All of my family are from Birmingham. They were there from the struggle from before, and then even after, and even stayed and stuff. So it was really special to bring it all together.
Powerful.
Do you want to read the quote, Trish, that you just put into the box?
Oh, I'm just juicing everyone up in the comments section. Yeah, sure. The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. And I really think, especially with what, you and I teach, Scott, is that compassion and understanding and curiosity is the way. And that, when we show up lovingly, lovingly, meaning like we're standing in the moment, in the present moment, holding for non-violence, but curiosity and love. Like, can I love this person in the face of danger, in the face of their own inhumanity, and to be just heartfelt, open? Like that's a powerful place. And I think that's how I see why we're so in love with him, because he just held that big, wonderful grandpa dad energy and was like, no, we're going to do it with love, and we're going to do it with kindness and compassion. And he changed the world with that.
Yeah, beautiful. We have like such an abundance of riches with amazing people here. I'm going to go to Oshawa next, and then Antoinette. Connie, I definitely am going to put you on later today to share about what you're going to be teaching. And of course, Becky is going to share with us all sorts of all the amazing, wonderful events going on for MLK Weekend in a few minutes. But I want to put the spotlight on my friend Oshawa. As I said at the beginning, I've known Oshawa for decades. She's always been dedicated to making the world a better place. and is tireless really in her efforts. And she's this incredibly multi-talented woman. She's a dancer, a producer, a writer, a spoken word artist, a wellness professional. But she's dedicated to giving voice to the voiceless and transforming rage into the outrage needed to use emotional fire to heal. Those are her words. And they're beautiful, beautiful. It's a beautiful.
Where'd you get those words from?
I got that from when you were on our show a year ago.
Okay.
Yeah, you
I
wrote
love
that a
that.
year ago, girl.
Okay. That's true.
So tell us how you've been inspired by MLK and very much what you're doing in Marin City, because that's so powerful.
Well, first of all, thank you so much, Scott, for bringing me on the show, because, and I have to give my shout out to Scott, because he never knows if I'm going to kind of get him in a little trouble, because I don't always say exactly maybe what, people are feeling comfortable to hear. So yeah, I would say that, our brother, Martin Luther King, one of the things that's so important about for us to remember him now is that he was doing what he felt he was led to do. Like, we all come to this life our ancestors, our ancient Comedian ancestors taught us that we are all here. Each one of us are meant to leave this world with something before we go. And some people go earlier, and we say, why did they go that young? But my goodness, they left so much. Martin Luther King is one of those people. And while he lived, he left us all of these wonderful images and quotes that we just saw. And what I am left with at this moment, what's coming up for me, is that for us to remember that he was not well liked in his day. He was a radical person. He fought against the status quo. He didn't go along with what was comfortable at all. And to the point of being able to, making enemies or not being popular at all. He was at a time when most Black people were Republicans. He negotiated with the Democrats, right? Or the Dixiecrats, right? I mean, so we have to really, I want us to really remember his radical self and not forget that that's who he was. And I don't think it's possible for us to say what he would have been doing now, because we just can't say that. We can say, okay, this is what he was doing at that time for the time that he was here, and that he left us with that. He started to look at the international perspective and tying it all together and tying in how poverty in the Vietnam War was so linked to what the United States was doing across the globe. When he stepped out of the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King, we look at him because he's had such a global impact. One of the things that I want us to really remember too is that he was dealing with local issues here in the American South, even regional, because when we think of the Black Power movement, in the North, the Black Panthers, and people think of Malcolm X and, people who came out more of the Northern universities were taking on the Black Power movement and uniting people across political divides and racial divides in the North. That's what the Panthers were doing. Martin Luther King was doing that same thing in the South. And so we look at that brutality that he had to endure being in that local area where the North, the federal government had to then come down because it was so terribly violent at that time. So I would say that Martin Luther King was very much think global, act local activist. When he started really acting more global is when he became a threat to the imperialist government, which is the government that we live under and that we still live under.
Yeah.
And so I just want to put that out there. That's what's really coming up for me. I get a little pit in my stomach because, I look at that we imprison more Black men now than we ever have. That the attack on the Black family is more intense than it ever has. That when we look out on the streets, I mean, I don't like to think for what Martin Luther King would be looking at now, but for him to see how poverty has completely gotten out of control in this country, completely gotten out of control, where whole families are living on the street. So at the same time that we celebrate kind of that part of him that, make us feel good. I think it's really important for us to then like be where we are and look around and like, whoa, what are the feet that he walked in, the path that he showed us? How are we going to step up into that path and do things that are not comfortable, say things that are not comfortable to others, and have some real conversations so that we can really get past some of the stuckness that we have a tendency to get into.
Well, that's love. Love is having the hard conversations. Love is showing up and being honest. It's really about showing up to you in your love, right? Like I trust you more, Oshawa, to just lay it down straight for me. And that means that you're more trustworthy in my book, because I know you're not going to fluff me. Tell me what I want to hear, but I trust you to be honest about how you see it. And I know that that's your love. And that's powerful. It's radical power.
And that's where King was. I mean, because, he was a fine man. We look at him as that fine kind of and, we think of him as a grandfather figure, but that man, I mean, when he was assassinated, he was only in his 30s.
37.
37, right? But in most of his, career, he was in his 30s. And so we think about, our age and, the system has gotten a lot more clever. They've learned a lot from this system. And when I talk about this system, I'm really talking about the system of oligarchs, because I think that whenever you find yourself being on one side or another, and it's like this person and that person, I like to think of looking up. Look up. Don't look over at the other side. Look up. Who's controlling this situation? Who's making us fight? And why are we supposed to be so distracted by what's really going on? So at the gallery, we teach a workshop called "Who Are They?" Who are they?
Right.
Because you always hear, and they said, and they said. It's like, who are they? Right? And who they are, I'm not going into that, but they are there. Yeah. And it's scary. It's very scary. But the only way for us to get out of being controlled by they is for us to have these real radical conversations and not get stuck and not allow for ourselves to be discriminated against for other reasons that are more clever, because the system has gotten clever. It's like, woo, 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 woo. Let me just fool y'all to be, we're going to do exactly what we used to do, but we're going to call it something different.
Yeah.
We're going to call it something different, but we know, especially those of us that have been feeling it all the time, we know what it is. hasn't changed.
I'm going to read a couple comments from our people, and then I want to bring on Antoinette to dialogue a little bit with you, actually, Oshawa, and then we'll.
I
get
would
to
love
Becky.
to. That is my girl right now.
Yeah, no, I mean, being able
Where's your
to
hand?
introduce
Where's your hand?
Antoinette
Where's your
to
hand? Where's your
Oshawa,
hand?
Yeah, no, I'm
Somebody
going to
else is going to
spotlight you
speak
both.
some more truth. Like I'm waiting for that.
I
So,
told Scott, I'm sorry if I get you in trouble, Scott. Like
no,
I
that's
said.
okay. Just I know that you have memorized the Facebook community standards. So no, just joking.
I was going to say I haven't.
She knows.
Nobody has, because they don't tell you what they are.
There's a
They keep
different
changing.
standard. There's a different standard for us, for me and her, than for you. You
Yeah,
know?
I bet.
So yeah, we know which ones, we know which waves to ride. So.
And they keep changing.
Yeah. All right, so a few comments from people, and then I've got a question for the two of you together. On Unify, Tracy writes, may we all join as one people. Thank you, Dr. Martin Luther King. Let's share the dream together. Pamela responded to something you said, Oshawa. She said, being comfortable doesn't usually get us anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And let's talk about influences. Susan Woolridge in our Zoom room talks about how Martin Luther King was influenced by Gandhi, and Gandhi was influenced by Thoreau. And then Antoinette, you took it a step further and talked about the influence of Jesus the Christ on Martin Luther King. And it's interesting, tomorrow I'll be playing a little segment of a video interview with Reverend Michael Beckwith, talking about when he was a 10-year-old boy and he met Martin Luther King and Martin Luther King's influences. And so it's beautiful how everybody is influenced by these amazing beings. And like Oshawa pointed out, these beings that did some of the most amazing work just when they were young men, 20s and 30s. So on that, because I respect both of you so much, I'd love to hear how you are personally influenced, whether it's by Martin Luther King or if you want to draw upon other influences, because you both are activists that are very effective. And so I'd love to hear about your influences and how that drives you.
Thank you. I have a lot of different influences, so I don't use them all as one, especially when it comes to our movement. Like for me personally, it wasn't just Martin Luther King, but it was also Malcolm X, and it was also Medgar Evers. It was also Marcus Garvey. It was Frederick Douglass. It's like a lot of different things. And it was so funny because when I started the organization, I had these other women. I was like, all right, you be Malcolm and I'll go Farrakhan, and then you be whatever. And then if it gets whatever, then we'll switch up the roles a little bit. Because I know when you're sitting there trying to get the message across, sometimes people sit there and say, all right, you got to tone it down and bring it more like Martin. But Martin said it the same way Farrakhan said it, and the same way Marcus Garvey said it, but just in the way that of his own personality. So many people have so many different personalities. So when I said that Martin Luther was influenced by Jesus, he said it. The man was a Christian pastor. He went to seminary school. His father was a minister. Everybody in Birmingham is a minister. There's churches all up and down. Their influence, if you're not influenced by Jesus Christ, then you're not in Alabama. I mean, if you ask
Amen.
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 Back to the truth again.
Amen.
And this is the thing why I've had to start getting into this more recently and lately, is because we've been feeling like our holiday weekend has been hijacked. I have to be honest here, and I have to be truthful. I may be emotional because I might be medicated. Who knows? Anyway, the honesty is, though, we have to be honest and truthful, because the truth and the honest conversations are not going to get us anywhere if we're always sitting there pretending that everything is okay. Everything is not okay. We are not all one. We are not all cosmic in the universe, and we're not all these different things, because we can look outside the window and see that these things, they're happening, but they're not happening at the rate that we should actually be seeing them happening. It is, when Martin Luther King was killed, I wasn't even born yet. It is 53 years later 53 years later. And this is why I have the inspiration. It's not because he said beautiful and wonderful things. It's because the things that he said were trying to make a difference. The things that he said they were trying to make a difference. He said, let's go and get that check. Nobody ever wants to talk every weekend about, he said, let's go to Washington and get that check. All the reparations are being made in so many different forms. They're not being made in the forms that are going back to our communities. Even though all these things that we're talking about MLK are in all these different communities, but they're not being in our own communities to sit there and address all the other communities. And these things are not being addressed to where are all these communities coming together and what are the actual things that we're actually doing together right now. You know, what are we doing tomorrow? And what did we do yesterday? And what is the progress that we made from yesterday until today? So while we reiterate the words yesterday, today, and tomorrow, and continue on with those things, and we all want to feel good and kumbaya, until next year, if we have to see another death, another discrimination, another loss of life, another thing, then we haven't achieved anything, and his dream is still sitting there right where he left it, on deaf ears, until it actually becomes into action of loving service. So that inspiration for me of Martin Luther King and why this is so important. And even though, and Scott wasn't expecting me to be here tonight, you know, I wasn't expecting, but I was like, if we gonna talk about MLK, then we gonna be here to talk about MLK. And when we talk about MLK and what inspired us, what does it inspire us and what does it inspire me to do next? So speaking about I've been inspired, this is what I'm doing next. This is my next move for us today. Scott, Oshawa, I would love to connect with you.
I'm gonna turn to Charlotte. I'm so
Trisha.
delighted.
You know
I
what?
got Trisha. I got Jonathan Greenberg from the Founder Institute of the Center of Nonviolence in San Francisco. We just honored Clarence B. Williams' 91st birthday. He was a speechwriter and lawyer for Dr. King. And a lot of people don't sit there and say it's like he's influenced by Gandhi. You know how many people were influenced by Clarence B. Williams? King was influenced by Dr. Clarence B. Williams. It wasn't the other way around. It was that way. He's influenced so many other people, but he's the charismatic face. There's
Right.
so many people that we have no idea and what they're doing and what they continue to do. This same lawyer, even at his own age, went over to India to sit there and fight for civil rights over there for the women. You know, these are the things that we don't know and what are doing today of his message. So let's get back that message out there. We have campaigns, we have projects. Let's get all these people who are watching live from around the world, globally. Let's get people locally who are watching. Let us all see, if you guys want to sit there and connect with us, we have plans. We have missions, we have campaigns. We have a campaign in California. We have something that we have going on with the politicians, with the environment locally, and with our communities. And we could use your help. If you want to help us take this message all the way home in a practical manner, I would welcome you. Thank you.
Wow, thank you. Oh, see, that's what I'm talking about. I feel like so often when the words, again, Antoinette's reminding us that when King was starting to talk, a lot of people did not want to hear him at all. And oftentimes when we are speaking words that, as Scott quoted something that I had said, transforming the rage to outrage into expression and creativity, our words, and especially if, from the perspective of African people, we tend to be, kind of emotional, and that's okay. That is part of our culture. That's what gives us that fire in the music and our great orators and all those things. So rather than being apologetic for that passion, it's unnatural for us to stuff that in and to be all polite with it. But oftentimes what happens is that it makes people uncomfortable, and it makes people want to redefine how the conversation is going to be had. And that is okay if we agree to have the conversations in And this is completely okay. And Scott knows, because Scott, and I are very connected, like, within the new age realm and the holistic realm, right? There's different communities that people can feel comfortable with each other having conversations that they can be most effective. Not everybody is meant to be talking in the same room. It is not, because you might not get along, and you don't have to get along. But getting the links, and Scott and our relationship is a good example. I always like to bring it home as much as I can, like bring it, like what is happening in front of us. Like, no, we don't agree. We, might have very diametrically opposed positions, but we still love each other. I respect this man, where he's coming from and what his mission is, even though his mission is very different than my mission. My mission is very much dealing with the trauma that I see as a result of this system that is becoming more and more like, I'm not even going to go into there. And to see it firsthand, because I work with children in schools and I see the generations, I see how the generations have been affected. Generation, like the generation that we were working with Scott at Laurel Springs. Yeah. Was that in the 90s? It's not quite the same generation now. And I'm not talking about just age thing. It's other stuff. It's the constant attack. It's the pharmaceuticals that have been dumped in. It's the experimentation. It's on and on. It's all the stuff. Someone asked me the other day, well, Oshawa, do you think that it's actually an attack on the Black man? Do you think? I was like, what you think?
Yes, absolutely.
I mean, but I know that like seems like, oh no, that we would have that. Well, that could never happen. And so I think that what King was this country's prime opportunity to come correct. Because that was 50 years ago, 45 years ago? It was the prime opportunity to come correct. The Democratic Party could have, rather than co-opting his message of love and co-opting it and buying people off and putting up a few while the masses were suffering still, could have really made some massive changes within the country. Was ready for it at that point. So it's nobody's fault. It's none of our fault. It's just being able to understand that there's a clever game that's being played. And so how do we take this message of radical love, and like, who is doing the radical love now? And is that message as equally uncomfortable as King's message might have been to you all in his time? Because his message may have been really uncomfortable to a lot of people on this call in the 60s. Because it's like, what is that Black man? I thought, what are they talking about? He just made it kind of cool and acceptable, to do that at this point. So I think that what we have to get comfortable with for love is to say, well, who is coming from those radical places? Who is making me feel uncomfortable? Why are they making me feel uncomfortable? Is even what they said, do I really know what they said? Have I listened to what they said? Or am I just hearing what someone else on the news said about what they said? Do I even know who this person is? I stand strongly by the principle of Kuchi-Chagalia, the second principle of Kwanzaa, which is self-determination. That is name and define for yourself, your community, your people, and your leaders, rather than allowing for other people to define and refine and name you. That is where I'm coming from. And I know that when we have these conversations in my community, or they might be different conversations, but we have to have the love and the courage to be able to have those conversations with each other, or we're not going to go, as Antoinette said, to anywhere where King's dreams was, because people keep getting killed. Nipsey Hussle, the little young rapper. I don't know how many of you, maybe you could put the thumbs up or hands up if you knew who Nipsey Hussle was, right? Nipsey
I only
Hussle.
learned after he died.
Right. So Nipsey Hussle, deep little brother in the street, little rapper. Now, you know, I'm old school. I'm not saying that, you know, I grew up breakdancing and, you know, but my rap is old school rap. Okay. So I'm not saying that rap, but I understand what my little brothers and sisters are doing. And I understand where Tupac was coming from. Mm-hmm. Tupac was coming from a place of, look, you assassinated King. You assassinated someone who wouldn't even hurt a fly. Right? This is what the system did. You assassinated someone who wouldn't even hurt a fly. So, and you assassinated my parents, you assassinated my aunties and my uncles. You came and shot them in the night while they were sleeping. This is where these kids grew up. And then you flooded our neighborhoods with crack cocaine. And then made it a crime, you know, to do all kinds of things that are now not a crime. So, you know, so yeah, I mean, this day brings up a lot of pain for me. Mm-hmm. And yes, I love our brother. And I also want us to bring him up into this context of now and associate him with now.
Thank you. Thank you. I want to, so let's just take a breath, because that was a lot. Oh, that was awesome. And it's a lot. And you're right. It is frigging uncomfortable for us to, so as a privileged white man who's been doing multicultural stuff most of my life, as you know, believe me, I still have to digest how unfair it is and how crazy so many things still are. And I'm actually going to turn it over to Trish in a moment, because originally we're going to have Bridge Feltus with us, and Bridge came down with COVID today. But Bridge does a wonderful thing when she's on our show. She asks Trish, after Trish has taken her course, Trish, are you racist? And so I'm imagining the spirit of Bridge is here. And in that wonderful way, she's asking you the question, Trish, are you a racist?
I am inherently racist. I grew up in a racist society that oppresses any person who's not the white male. I woke up in a vag-having, estrogen-running body in this lifetime. And I grew up to some very poor people. And yet I still have beliefs about women that are abusive, because I was taught in a society that teaches us how to do that, to dehumanize ourselves. I'm actually taking Bridget's course again for the second time. Because the first time was I felt like I had done some anti-racism work before, but the way her course is set up is very specifically to touch you in your heart and to humanize the way that we are in the world, who we are. And I'm taking it again because I want to sit from this perspective now, from a slightly more or less filtered perspective and a slightly more loving perspective. And loving meaning like I'm willing to stand up to the people in my life and be like, hey, have you considered that you're running a system that's been running for this long, like long. And are you willing to just look for a moment at what you're participating in, even though as a liberal, white, Bay Area person with lots of money and made it themselves, like, are you willing to look at the places where you're still perpetuating harm? Mm-hmm. Not only in Black communities, but in communities all over the world. Women, like, how do you treat women? And, after Bridget's course, I stopped my courses. I stopped teaching so that I could really restructure and learn from more Black teachers, more teachers of color of all over, because what I'm realizing is the psychology-based information is all from a white male perspective, and it's called medical racism, where it started as a way of getting the demons out of people. So I was like, oh my God, slow down. So what it gave me is an opportunity to be more loving, to stop and be like, whoa, I want to show up in a way that's heartfelt and heart-centered and collaborative and protective. I want a triple win. I want what's good for me and what's good for you and what's good for everyone, because unless we're starting to think about that, nothing's changing. MLK spoke about this, 60 years ago? 60 years ago, and look at where we're still at. Y'all, come on. Like, it's now. Like, now, right now. So I invite you to take Bridget's course and reach out to me if you want a discount. I'm in fact, I more than invite you. I double dog dare you. And I would like to share a little bit about something I saw today, as well as this an okay time, Scott?
Sure, go for it.
So if you're in Oakland, go to the Oakland Museum. And they are running an Afrofuturism exhibit, and it is stunning, like breathtaking, beautiful, like light you on fire. It's so like relatable, right? And I took a couple pictures, and I'm going to share them because it just touched me so deeply that I thought you all might enjoy some of these beautiful, profound moments. Okay.
And as she's pulling
I'm still learning after all this time.
Yep, go for it. As she's doing that, after she shows the pictures, I would love to hear from Oshawa and from Antoinette what Afrofuturism is. That's a new term for me, and probably a new term for many of us. So, okay, take it away, Trish.
So for the people who are just listening and might be listening to the podcast or who can't see this, these pictures are pictures from the exhibit, and I'm going to read out what they say. Don't forget to envision a world that values humanity. And this is from Yatasha L. Womack, author and artist, 2013. The next one is one of my favorite writers right now. Speaking of Afrofuturism, Octavia Butler, in this just profound books. Like, if you love to read heart-centered literature, just pick this book up. It's called Parable of the Sower by Octavia Butler. So beware, ignorance protects itself. Ignorance promotes suspicion. Suspicion engenders fear. Fear quails, irrational and blind, or fear looms defiant and closed. Blind, closed, suspicious, afraid, ignorance protects itself, and protected ignorance grows. There is no single answer that will solve all of your future or all of our future problems. Instead, there are thousands of answers, at least. You can become one of them if you choose to be. I'm going to say that again. You can be one of them if you choose to be, and have those hard conversations. And that is Octavia Butler. There's a couple more, which I thought were really, really profound. If mankind is to have not only a future, but a destiny, it must be consciously and deliberately designed. June Jordan, a poet and activist in 1965. We get to collaborate on our future. And the last one, which I'm always, where we can all show up better, is I'm just going to zoom in for a moment to some of these, because I thought this was also really powerful. Because what we're seeing, and if we just step back and listen to Oshawa and Antoinette and MLK and Bridge, is that the natural way of being and loving is community-based, not in this like violent, controlling, taking space thing that people of European descent have done. So to create circles, not lines, choose critical conversations over critical mass, move at the speed of trust, be humble learners who practice deep listening, celebrate, catalyze, and amplify Black joy, plan and design with, center lived experience, seek people at the margins, reckon with the past to build the future, protect and strengthen culture, cultivate wealth in all of our communities, foster personal and communal evolution, promote excellence, and manifest the future. If you want to see more of this, I'll be making a post later.
Shay.
Thank you so much for just allowing me to share
Thank
others'
you, Trish.
voices out there.
Beautiful.
Oshawa, Antoinette, tell us more about Afrofuturism.
Well, I want to say one thing because Trish, so Scott, whenever you go to the MC Arts and Culture website, we have an audiobook club, and one of our books is Parable of the Sower that we are doing. So if anybody wants to listen, now I chose audiobook for a lot of reasons. I'm a big audiobook fan myself, and I'm a big audiobook reader. But there's 3 books that we have. Parable of the Sower is one, The Kite Runner is another one. And then I'm choosing between, The Iron Heel by Jack London.
So we're gonna go back and we're gonna show people how to go there. Okay.
Oh, okay. So that's
in the beginning there was Oshawa.com. Okay, and it was good. And on the second day,
but woman can only not create from one. So yes, go ahead, Scott.
So really, to get started, let's all, everybody watching, go to Oshawa, that's her name, OSHALLA.com. Once you get to Oshawa.com, where do we go next?
You can go to MC Arts and Culture.
Okay. So on the second day, MC Arts and Culture was created. And this is really the beautiful work that Oshawa and her team, her friends have created. And it's beautiful. And
you can scroll down, Scott, and they can look at the different classes that are going on. This is an opportunity to connect with Black artists, makers, teachers, and entrepreneurs. I've talked to people who literally have been alive for 70 years and have never taken a class from a Black person, never taken an art class. Where's my audiobook thing? Oh, that must be on the other.
Hey, there you are.
Yeah. But if you go to Who We Are, if you go to the top of the very top, Who We Are, you'll see, and you scroll down, you'll see there's a lot of people. And, we all have, now, do all these people agree? Are you kidding me? Put a bunch of artists in one room. Are you serious? But one of the things that was very important for me is that we are stronger when we are united than when we are apart.
Yeah.
Martin Luther King was part of a circle. He was part of a circle, as Antoinette very wisely said, that his struggle, it wasn't about just King. He was anointed because he was very charismatic, but some of the heavy hitters were right behind King, and he knew that. So it's allowing for everybody's light to really shine. And when you are dealing with darkness, you'll never win if you are in the darkness. If you're fighting in the dark, you'll just be going like this because you can't see. All you have to do is turn on the light. You just turn the light on, as King would said it in some way, but you turn the light on, and these brothers and sisters, King turned the light on. And so I like to look at MC Arts and Culture as a little light for some things that are in my corner, and for those that have affinity with that have affinity, because not everybody has affinity with everything, and neither should everyone.
Oshawa, I'm going to go back to her for a moment, because I remember on one of our previous shows we did together, you introduced us to Lumumba.
Oh, yes.
And it's
I
such
remember.
I mean, I love looking at all these people, the diversity, but because I remember his story, I'm just going to go in because it's a great example. This is somebody who had spent unfairly a tremendous amount of time in the prison system.
41 years.
41 years. Imagine that. I mean, that's just insane.
He went in when
And
he was 17, and he just got out 3 years ago.
right. And you've given him an opportunity in your art gallery, and look at his beautiful work that he's done.
Uh-oh. It's not
Uh-oh.
there. Oh, well.
But there are, most of your artists, we click there and then we get to see
Yes.
the art that they've created, including a man who was in prison for 41 years.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
Thank you for providing an opportunity.
And I'll fix that link. So
Yeah, now inevitable, the one that I
yeah,
choose.
the one that you choose. So
Always.
I just want, first of all, everybody that's on this call, I want to just thank you all for just coming in, supporting the work that Trish and Scott are doing. You're continuing to do the work within your community, and also to be open to expanding and having broader conversations. And so I appreciate all of you that are on this call and hearing what it is that we are talking about tonight.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. In a minute, I'm going to go to Antoinette and then to Becky. But, I want to talk about discomfort. And thank you, Oshawa, and thank you, Antoinette, for talking about discomfort. When we changed the name to The Awakening World, and I want to thank Trish because she really helped make that happen. Waking up is not
Hi.
comfortable. Huh.
Tell them why.
Because we used to call this straight talk, and there's nothing straight about Trish. So that's how it evolved. But it's perfect that we did come up with the Awakening World. And waking up is not comfortable. It's actually very uncomfortable when we wake up and we realize, oh my God, look at what we've been doing to the planet. Look at what we've been doing to our Black brothers and sisters for hundreds of years, and still doing it. Look at what we're doing in so many areas where there is not racial or social justice. And so this Awakening World series is taking what started with Saturday Night Live and then Straight Talk and my Sacred Sunday show. And now that's why every weekend we're choosing a topic and we're going deeper into the topic. And I definitely always want to, when people say, well, what is the Awakening World? The two words are information and inspiration. And really, Antoinette, Oshawa, Becky, Trish, what I love about all of you is that you want to inform people, but God bless you, you've learned how to do it in an inspiring way, right? And that is the trick. And thank you to all the people that come every week. I love what Mark Danisovsky wrote last week. He said, on Friday night, I come and I get my mission for the next week. And I thought that was pretty cool. So, Antoinette, what's alive for you to share next?
All right. Well, I just wanted to comment first on, you wanted to ask about Afrofuturism.
Yeah.
And then, Trish, I'm so glad that you're taking that course. And Oshawa, thank you so much for reminding folks that we are not a monolith. Hold on a second.
Who is that good-looking guy?
Hold on a second.
Hey, hi.
Hey, it's a Pato sighting. The spirit of Pato is coming in. Hey, buddy.
His head just something like this hovered.
I know, it just hovered in there and everything.
There
Yeah,
it is.
so I wanted to be clear because for anybody who's watching or tuning in or who's in the room, and it's very clear because one of the comments that was also asking about the creator and violence and things like that. So I think the other part about the MLK was the nonviolence part, at least for us. But like I said, we're not forgetting the others because people forget we're not a monolith. So if we're switching up in roles, does it mean that I'm always going to be MLK? Because some days I'm going to be Farrakhan and some days I'm going to be Malcolm X, depending on my mood or whatever we're dealing with. But the point is that man used to keep a gun in his home. I don't do guns, that's not my kind of thing. But so we don't know exactly where they are as far as like defending yourself and also being nonviolent. Everything is a shade of gray. The same thing like with riots and violence. The whole reason when I met Scott last year was because of all the riots last year.
Right.
Every
Right.
city was on fire and around us in a 30-mile radius or 40-mile radius, an hour radius or whatever, all of SoCal, except for the event that we actually held in our own city, which was nonviolent, But then I had to go and remind people that King was speaking that the riot is the language of the unheard. People still did not get it. Here comes everybody running around. It's like MLK, peace. Can't you be like MLK? And I'm like, all these people talking about how they love MLK. I don't see not one person that ever said that they didn't support him when we all knew that everybody was not supporting MLK back then. Mm-hmm. Where are all those people today? But everybody was all behind him then. He was saying the same thing. So what was offensive to the people back then is the offensive things that we're saying now, but it's really not offensive. It's really just the truth. Mm-hmm. The truth is that we have to take things, and it's frustrating because if people think that Black people want to act violent, they're again putting us into a box that we're all the same monolith because they saw that. We're different kinds of people. We have different reactions. We always want nonviolence. But when we say it's the unheard, obviously you didn't hear us when we were being nonviolent. You didn't hear us when we knelt. You didn't hear us when we prayed. You didn't hear us when we sang. You didn't hear us when we marched. You didn't hear us when we broke the window. You didn't hear us when we, burned down the building. You didn't hear us when we stole. You didn't even hear us when somebody got killed. It's like when you heard is when somebody else, not one of us, gets involved. Mm-hmm. And it takes it to that level. Then they start listening because we got to remember, again, MLK, they didn't stop. The violence didn't start to cease a little bit. They didn't change the voting rights laws or anything like that until those two white guys went missing, down in Mississippi. All those Black people who've been missing for all those years, they never did anything. And then once those two white kids went missing, they sent hundreds and thousands of people down there. And all of a sudden, all the white people went down there. So we got to do something about this and do this now and end this now. So nothing has changed all now. We still had the violence. It wasn't until when all the white women started getting beat up and tear gassed up there in Oregon, and other people, then they started taking notice. Last year, then all of a sudden, all the companies, we stand in solidarity with our brothers and sisters. We stand in solidarity. All the corporations, all the banks, all the government officials, everybody put out statements. All this defunding, all these different things started happening. We started to think something was happening. This mental anguish and post-stress disorder is emotional. I think I wore myself ragged just from everybody's drama of things not moving. So I took some time off, it's like a lot of things I got heavily invested. And that's the thing, because we're always heavily invested. It's like what they say, you're always talking about race. It's like when that race card stops getting dealt, then I don't have to deal it anymore. I would like to think about something else. I would like to do something else. I would like to think that when I do go up to Oakland and the Afrofuturism, and I'm so glad that they have that there. So Afrofuturism is, we're not a monolith. We love sci-fi. We love New Age. We love the cosmos. We love Bob Saget. We love the universe. We love Gaia. We like Friends. We like science. We like voodoo. We like all kinds of different things. But you won't know that about us until you get to know us. So like Pato said, just saying he was the only Black person at the funeral. I'm the only Black person at this thing. Why are we always got to be the only Black people at certain things? You got to get to know some more Black people. I hope y'all come back next time with some more Black people. I hope every single one of y'all watching go to a Juneteenth event this year.
Yes.
Please tell me go to a Juneteenth event. Go and eat some African-American food. Listen to some African cultural music, some of these different things. Hear our speeches. Hear our quotes, our poetry, our music, our all the different things. Because I immerse myself in your culture. If you want to ask me about the whole line of succession in the British monarchy, I can tell you. I can tell you about the Vikings. I can tell you about the Korean monarchy. I can tell you all this stuff. But what can people tell me about Queen Nzinga? And different
That's
stuff.
right.
What do you know about
Massa Kam Musa?
Right. Yeah.
Denmark Visa.
Yeah, Ubuntu, that Kwanzaa is open for everybody.
Yeah.
Juneteenth is open for everybody. MLK is open for everybody. So immerse yourself into our culture, just like we immerse yourselves into your cultures. We immerse ourselves into the Native Americans, into the white cultures, into the Latin, into the indigenous, into the Latinos, and the different things. We want to be a part of everybody, and we want everybody to be a part of us as well. And we're just not seeing that part of it yet. I'm still not feeling all of that community yet, but I'm getting there, because just like you said, there's wonderful people like Scott and Trish hosting. Because when I said, Scott, I said, promise me this, promise me you'll have Black people on your show every time, every month. And he said, I promise.
And I've
And
been
I
doing
said, it
that.
doesn't even have to be me. I said, it could be anybody. Just keep that diversity flowing. And he kept that promise. And Trish, she took that course, and I'm so glad. I know it wasn't easy, but keep taking it, because I tell even Black people, we don't even know all of our own history. There's no way we can sit there and study all of our own history. So people teaching Black history, there's no way they could even teach Black history, because they don't even know all of Black history. So, make an effort.
I mean, Antoinette, I want to address what you're saying. I mean, it's so deep when we talk about diversity. When I opened up with a the Black Arts Gallery, and someone says, "Well, are you going to open it up to be culturally diverse?" And what my response to people is that we are so diverse. My husband is from Cameroon, West Africa, right? We have brothers and we have African Mexicans, African Trinidadians, Afro Brazilians, Afro Cubans, Afro Puerto Ricans. We're so diverse, and yet there has been an intent. And I understand that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out why the people who are oppressing and who are stealing the resources from the African continent, because that's what a lot of this is about. Mm-hmm. That's what a lot of this is about. Because when you look at where we all came from, which is Mama Africa, and we look at where are all the resources in our cell phone, where are the gold, where are the diamonds, where are the silver, where's the cobalt? When you look at why would you want to keep all of those people that you stole all around the globe separated, thinking that Africans were a bunch of people living in trees, flying around, right? Not clothed. Why would you want to keep the Trinidadians apart from the Americans and the Cubans and all that? It's been very successful, but it's changing. And that diversity is what we are celebrating. The world is changing as well. And Trish, what you're dealing with women, and I just want to bring in the indigenous, the land, the Ohlone land, of which I stand on right now, the Ohlone and the Miwok Indians, for those who are in Marin, and the trauma, talk about trauma of just losing just all of your people. But at least you got your land that you're on, that is it being recognized, right? And so we understand, as people who came from Africa, as indigenous people of Africa, we understand that the plan was to do the same thing to the African continent as was done here. When people say, well, how could that be? Well, look at Canada, look at the United States, look at the islands, how was that done? That was pretty huge. You could say, wow, how did this little continent, how was that able to happen? The only thing we can say is that it was prophecy. We can look at it from really a metaphysical, most high, it was prophecy meant to happen. It was meant to happen so that we are all here now, as it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. And no one here is wrong. And so how we express ourselves is just, how are we showing up in it right now? And how are we going to how am I going to look at Trish? How am I going to look at Scott with love and not lies? We're not trying to make him feel better, or not, you're not trying to make me feel whatever. How can we say those truths that I just said, and to say, oh, Charlotte, that's not true. You can say that to me and we can have a debate. I don't mind debating. Anyway, I've said enough.
I love what you're saying.
I think I just need Oshala's artwork. I'm sorry. I just need Oshala's artwork. All that art is amazing. It's just beautiful. We got to showcase that. That's amazing.
We will. We'll go back to that for a moment. But Trish, she started to say.
Well, I'm loving what you're saying, and it's not about, like, can we hold? There's 7.8 billion realities on this planet. Can we hold all of those billion realities in loving compassion? Yes, I think it's possible, and it's about doing the inner work on ourselves. I just want to like blatantly say that white supremacy also hurts white people. Tell me, for all of you people watching, okay, white people, where do you come from? What are your ancestral, what are your rituals?
That's a
What was
beautiful
passed down? What were your
question.
traditions?
Right.
Now that's one of the Bridges things, is she's like, I, go out and look, and I stopped and I went home to be with my grandmother. She's like 89. She's old.
Grandma.
And she started telling me stories about our ancestry, about my grandfather getting on a boat from Ireland when he was 6 in 1906. And then we started going back and back and back. And I was like, wow. It just blew me away that I had been washed away in this quote unquote whiteness. And I lost so many pieces of my family. Mm-hmm. And so it's so important that we do this work, that we show up, and that we feel the anger and the feelings and the rage and the upset and the love and the joy, because that's the system is created. The quote unquote system of oppression and colonization is to dehumanize us and to disembody us, make us hate our bodies and our truth and our love. And so when we show up in love and really connect to each other, and I'm talking about the love that Oshawa and Antoinette are talking about, not this like, oh my God, it's so cute and good and yummy kind of love. Like, it's not that. That's not love. It's called spiritual bypassing. But there is a way to do it. And it really is taking a step back and taking courses and promoting Antoinette's work. And it's about, bringing up the voices who haven't been heard, including Sharif's. Just saying.
We will get to Sharif. There's so much to do. And I want to hear from Pato in a moment, if that's okay. But I want to acknowledge we've got a dynamic conversation going on in our Unify thread. And I do want to read a couple comments from people, and then I want to talk about our fundraising for this weekend, and then I want to turn it over to Pato for a moment. Doug from Unify, these are a few comments from Unify. Doug writes, every act of kindness is a vote. Thank you for this awareness. People wanting to know how they can help, and I'm going to tell you in a moment how you can help through our fundraiser. And there's actually a beautiful prayer. Sam Nyagawanda, I hope I pronounced that correctly, wrote, Lord, my Father, hear my prayer for you. Hear my prayer for those who are doing your work in your name. Give them strength and courage. Give them love and guidance. For I know they pray also for me, Lord, and I wish to do the same for them. Give them grace in Jesus' name. Thank you for bringing prayer into this. Thank you. Pegasus in our Zoom room now, a lot going on in our Zoom room, wrote, Antoinette, you're right about the murders and attention paid to communities or not. It's the same thing with women. The media pays attention when a white woman disappears, but all the murdered and missing Indigenous women are still invisible to the mainstream, which is that's a whole other thing.
It's absolutely true. It is absolutely true. And everybody's been talking about it, and they don't talk about it enough. And then the thing is, but this is also very tricky too, because when it comes to marginalized communities, people pit marginalized communities against each other. And I've noticed this, I've seen the division between the Black and Indigenous communities, or the Black and Latinos, Hispanic communities, and different communities. And it's like, wait a second, we're all being crapped on right now. Seriously, we all need to come and band together on this. And this was, so we got a lot of work to do. And there's some folks, and within our own community and within our own communities, we do recognize that. We do recognize there's divisions that being stoked amongst each other, the other marginalized groups. So, and Trish is right. It does affect everybody, because the woman who doesn't like being called white, nobody's meaning anything offensive by calling a person white, but because it's been taken as such a negative thing that then every person feels like if a white supremacist does something that's negative, then they feel like all white people are mean and nasty. And we all know that's not true. But then we have to keep going over and over and saying we don't mean all white people. Every time someone's mad at something a white person does, we always have to go back with the disclaimer, not all white people, because if you know it's not you, we know it's not you. We all know it's not you. So don't take anything. If you haven't done anything wrong, you haven't done anything wrong. But also, if you haven't done anything, you also haven't done anything. Because Martin Luther King, you can't be sitting on the side of fence. You need to pick a side and choose a side and do something. So,
and and we agree. Yes, the concept of race was an invention that really just came about maybe 600 years ago with the conquests. So yeah, I agree with you, Nancy, and that no, we are all part of the human race. We all were migrated out of the continent of Africa there's more albinos on the continent of Africa than there are anywhere else in the world. How did we make our migrations into Europe, into Asia, into China? We all did that migration. However, we cannot deny that African peoples and indigenous peoples that were living in certain land masses were enslaved, had land taken away very systematically. And that's not to say that people who were European did not have the same thing happen to them as well. Women were the first colonized. White women were the first, or European women were the first colonized human beings. So we're not saying that this is not a human, this is not something that is across the board, but it was definitely coming along with the patriarchy, the Christianity patriarchy, that came along with that. I'm not going to go there. So can we all be solutionaries right now? One of our artists coined the term solutionary. How can I be a solutionary? Right. And if you wanting to say that, I'm not white or I'm brown, and then, let yourself go toe to toe with other Black and brown people who are considering you white, and then take a stand for that. Let that be a conversation that you have, be able to own that conversation, because we'll have a conversation with you.
I'm reminded of when George Floyd was murdered and Black Lives Matter became a slogan. And well-intentioned people said, but all lives matter. Yes, obviously. But you know what? We have not given enough attention to Black lives mattering. So let's spend a big chunk of our energy on Black lives matter, because for way too long they haven't in our culture and in the way they were treated. And so I was reminded of that. And people asking what they can do. And here's what I want to ask people to do. Trisha's
Well, whose life really matters to me? Antoinette's life.
Perfect segue. Because
like a lot.
We met Antoinette well over a year ago. She's been on several of our shows. And we learned recently that Antoinette is dealing with a significant healing crisis. And Global Peace Tribe, I'm really proud we've raised over $150,000 for friends in need. And it's Antoinette's turn. And so I'm going to put into the Unify Facebook page and the Love Coach Academy Facebook page. I just put
beautiful.
Please let's support Antoinette. She has received the diagnosis of breast cancer, and she's exploring her different options. But now is the time for us to support Antoinette. And it's not easy for people to ask for money for themselves. I know that Antoinette has raised a lot of money for a lot of other people and a lot of consciousness for a lot of people. But now it's her turn. And so I really want to invite everybody watching, please, whether it's $5, $50, $500. As Lynn Twist always says, think of what your impulse is to give and then stretch. And take the joy of, okay, I was gonna put in 10, but what would it be like to put in 100? I was going to put in 50. What would it be like to put in 250? And as we stretch, imagine we're stretching our heart and we're embracing the beauty of our heart, the beauty of our desire to support at a bigger level. And I donated initially. I'm going to donate again tonight. And I want to invite everybody, please, please, please. And with that, I'd love to turn it over to Pato for anything, Pato, you want to share about your beloved wife and what's happening for her.
I just want to share that, I'm very proud of Antoinette. She's going through a tough time, an uncertain time, but she's focused on her healing. She's focused on doing it her way, doing it the natural way, with God's given ingredients, and not allowing the medical industry to pressure her or influence her. And I support that 100%, and she is actively educating herself every day about health, and she's exercising, which is awesome. And she's changed everything about her dietary way of life, and she's made a lot of changes, put it that way. I'm very, very proud of her. And she's still actively helping people, even though she needs help, she hasn't stopped helping others. So, I'm just very, very, very proud of her.
I mean, she showed up tonight. Tomorrow night was the night that we were going to have her on the show. And boom, there she was, one of the first people that came into the room. It was like, oh my God, Antoinette is here tonight.
It's the weirdest thing. I read something today, and I'm in several cancer groups. I've had to leave several of them because they were so depressing. And I was like, oh my God, man, these people are going to depress me to death. And I was like, let me just get out of here.
Really?
Seriously, I've never seen anything so depressing. I'm like, I'm trying to live. I was like, where are the groups where people want to live and stuff? And I was like, all right, let me get out of here. It was Scott's idea to do this GoFundMe because I wasn't even thinking about it. But then once I started doing the research, like Pato said, I spent every day studying cancer. It's like a college course that I took. And then when I started thinking about how I wanted to do it, and I got bullied by the doctor. So if anybody doesn't know, and some of you guys may know, women between the ages, the number one death of women between the ages of 40 and 55 is breast cancer. That's the number one cause of death. And then 40% of Black women don't survive breast cancer. And then when I started looking into that, I was like, why is that they don't survive? What is it about them? It can't really be the genetics that much different, because when we realize, like, we're going to go down that rabbit hole every time they try to, with certain diseases are supposed to only affect certain people, it always backfires and everybody else gets sick. So I decided I wanted to have the choice over my own health. And I didn't like the way that they were treating me in the hospitals. I didn't like the way they treated my father. I've seen what they've done in the medical industry, towards Black people everywhere. And they're always complaining. I saw how they were treating me. I read what they wrote about me. I was like, I'm asking about whether I'm living or dying, and they're dropping the ball because my insurance is not the same as everybody else's insurance. Somebody sent me a recommendation. They're like, oh, my friend is a doctor over at the Hoag Center. And so I went over there. Pato took me to go get a consultation. And I was like, this is where people, they valet their cars over there. I never seen a hospital where people, they valet. You go and valet a car, and they bring you back the car and all this stuff. And I'm like, what is all this bougie niceness? I've never seen this kind of stuff before. The hospitals we see in Brooklyn, when you travel through the snow in Brooklyn, and then the hospitals. And I always knew, go to the hospitals. Don't ever live in a Black neighborhood, live in a mixed neighborhood. So that way you can get decent services. Live where white people live so you can get white people services. Get those types of doctors, and the higher the price if you got to pay for it or whatever they're doing, because they're going to get better services. I had no idea the amount of services and the amount of treatment for cancer patients, for people who have money and privilege, and who have education and who have knowledge. You know, this is, and like I said, the naturopathic way. Whoever said something about fighting a naturopath, yes, I am looking for several of them. Several, you know, I'm still doing my research. I'm trying to find my own mentor and coach down here. But all the stuff that I've been getting and all the treatments and everything, like I said, that they're doing, that's the way I decided to go. And I feel better already, you know. So if this is how cancer is supposed to feel, where I'm feeling alive and exercising and eating better and changing my diet and meditating and focusing and figuring out ways to live a healthier lifestyle and letting other people know that you can save your life by changing your diet, by changing your lifestyle, by having things like rebounding, by a little bit of exercise, by a little bit of stuff, then, you know, why is it that we just didn't know these things, you know?
Mhm. I want to thank Pegasus, Fumi. God bless you, Fumi. Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Dia. Thank you for people who are donating right now. Those are all people that just donated. And thank you for sharing with us about your journey, you know, because it is important.
Thank you. And I will share my journey. So all this stuff that I've been learning, if people find there's like useful health benefits, I was talking with my girlfriend earlier, you know, for other people who don't know, like me, you know, that's the reason I'm making the videos. For those who do know, you guys already know your healthy stuff. And I've been pretty healthy before then. But for people who didn't know, like me, know about protein, know about, you know, juicing, know about the proper mixture of stuff, knowing about the balance, learning about the lessening and, you know, the oxygen in the water and all that, you know, all that stuff. And, you know, share.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing and being vulnerable.
I-
You know, we had, go ahead, Pato.
I do want to just touch on one thing regarding race.
Yeah.
What I just want to say is, you know, as a black man, you know, I've never really been concerned about being called a black man, even though I'm not black. I'm brown. I'm a dark brown. I'm a chocolate. No, but as defining me as belonging to a race, I'm happy to be called a black man and defined as a part of the black race, because there's so many different shades. You know, there's different races around this planet. You know, we have the yellow race, we have the red race, we have the brown race, we have the black race, and we have the white race. But all of us came from one family, two parents has brought this diverse conglomeration of races that we have right now. And before those two parents, we share one parent, which is God. So we've come from one. Eventually, we have to come back to one. And the thing about race that I want to share as well, you know, before we had diversity of race on planet Earth, there was one race at the beginning. You know, there was one race at the very beginning. Then we had a diversity of race. Now the goal, and at the beginning on this planet, there was one language. You know, the goal of humanity is to get back to one. It's a long, long journey. But as long as there is more than one tribe, there will be tribalism. As long as there is more than one race, there will be racism. It's in our DNA. We protect our own before we go and protect somebody else's, until we become spiritual and recognize that everybody is
Ashe says that.
Okay, but until humanity matures and gets to that point, which we still have a long, long way to go, obviously, we are going to have to deal with immature folks who cannot see what we have in common, but can only see from the outside the things that separate us. So what I want to get back to is saying that we have a challenge ahead of us. It's not only about race, it's about economics. We need one currency. We need to stop having an American dollar that is 300 times the amount of a Ugandan dollar. All right. And then these people go over to Africa and buy everything we have 3 times
Come on, tell the truth.
300 more, 300 times the currency value worth of what we have, and they buy the land, they buy everything for a few dollars. All right. We have to get back to one. We have to get back to one currency. We have to get back to one language. Thank God for Facebook and social media, because that's helping us. We have to get back to one human family, and we have to get back to one race, because as long as there's more than one race, color, you're going to have division. So my message to everybody is, if you are single, go and find somebody of a different race. Encourage your children to go and breed with somebody from a different race. It doesn't have to be a black man and a white man. It can be a yellow and a black, a brown and a white. It can be any conglomeration of colors. But as soon as we confuse everybody about what race they are, the sooner racism will end. All right? Because I can't be against you if I don't know what race you are. You know, if everybody gets brown, like they say, there is a browning of America. That's why white supremacy is rising, because they see it happening. Yeah. But it is progress. The browning of the world is progress. So let's make love. Everybody find somebody of a different race to make love to. Not if you've already got a partner. You know, if you've already got a partner, stay with your partner. But if you haven't got a partner, find someone of a different race, make love, and bring brown babies into this world of every tone, you know what I mean? And help with this fight to overcome all the division and bring us back to the oneness. And let's encourage each other to be spiritual, because where there is spirituality, there is always peace, love, and unity.
It's so true. It's so true. That when he did a song called Black Lives Matter, All Lives Matter. And it's the same song, but we gave it two different titles. So if you look at All Lives Matter, and then if you Black Lives Matter, and then look at the comments and the reactions from the people based on the title, same video.
Wow, that's interesting.
It's crazy.
That's crazy.
I'm going to send it to you. It's so crazy when you watch the video, because everybody watches it and it's go like, wow, okay.
Wow.
Yeah, social experiment.
And by the way, we played your Martin Luther King video to start the show tonight. And I'm going to play it again tomorrow, Pato, because it's so beautiful. Because I've got that clunk in my head, you know, because I pulled it up and prepared it earlier this morning. So it's been in my head. It's such a beautiful, I just love that video. I want to put the spotlight on Becky. She has been very patient. It's now after midnight where Becky is, because she's on East Coast time. And she's been an amazing job putting together the MLK Beloved Community Convergence. And she was just going to come on for a minute, and she's been with us this whole time. And it's been so dynamic. So, Becky, thank you for being with us. Love to hear what you have to say. And, of course, please share with us all that you've put together.
Love. Wow. I'm in tears. I'm just so inspired to listen to this conversation tonight, and just want to thank you all so much for your deep sharing and for touching my heart, for making me feel even more my race awareness, the racism in me that I'm working to heal. And so I am so grateful, Antoinette and Oshawa and Pato and Scott and Trish, for this incredible conversation. I just feel so blessed to have been part of this. And I feel, before I share about the MLK Convergence, I just feel like, because I'm so emotional, I hope it would be okay for me to just share a song that many of us, hopefully all of us, know. It was actually inspired by a spiritual. It was written as a hymn in the early 1200s, but then it was recorded by Pete Seeger. And we all know it as We Shall Overcome, but it comes from a spiritual tradition. And I would love to, I'm going to put in the chat the words. And I invite everybody here to sing. It's not the entire song, it's just a few of the verses, because I'll be respectful of the time here. And to have us sing this together, and perhaps maybe we could even go into gallery view. And you don't want to unmute because the Zoom hasn't figured out how we all get to sound like a choir in the room. But to be able to sing this together with each other. And so I put it in the chat for us. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace. We shall live in peace someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall live in peace someday. We shall all be free. We shall all be free. We shall all be free someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall all be free someday. Last one. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I do believe we shall overcome someday. You all sounded so beautiful.
You guys did.
I hear you all around the world. So beautiful. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
I
Becky. You're
feel
beautiful.
cleansed. I feel cleansed, and I feel really so grateful to be here, and grateful to be able to share with you all about an opportunity for us to continue to go deep in the name of Dr. King as we move towards his birthday. The day we celebrate his birthday on Monday for Dr. King's Day. And so we have the MLK Beloved Community Convergence this weekend. And I'm going to put into the chat for everybody who's in the room how you can register. And I'm going to share with you. We have a convergence that is happening And we have a new system for those of you who have been part of our convergences. John Raymer from the Sign Network and Summer Raymer and the Compassion Games. Also, John's incredible organization is sponsoring this event along with AmeriCorps and Four Worlds International. And they have set up this convergence, and I've been behind the scenes working to set it up as well so that we can all come together this weekend and experience different events, different speakers. Pato and Antoinette are going to be offering some programs this weekend as well, and we really hope you can come and join us. So I'm going to share, I put in the chat how you can register is to go to compassiongames.org/MLK Convergence. And now I'm going to share my screen, and what will happen when you register, you'll click register on that page, is you will fill out, it'll ask you for your Zoom email address and your Zoom password, because this is a Zoom-based navigation system called Zoom Events. And so you'll register, you'll get an email, it will get you your ticket that will get you access to the lobby, which is what I'm going to show you. Hang on. So when you register and log in, you'll see this right here. Here we go. So you'll see this button right here that says join lobby. And the lobby will give you access to the schedule. When you register, you'll be able to see the schedule as well. But it is completely free. This is freely given. When you click Join Lobby, there'll be a window that pops up. And you click. It looks like you're going into a Zoom room, but it's actually launching the lobby. And so I'm going to share my screen so that you can see a different version of my screen, I hope. All these Zoom clicks here. And so here we go. You'll come into the lobby, and you can see right now that we are streaming this program into the lobby of the MLK Beloved Community Convergence. That's why I'm seeing myself within here. So when there are sessions going on, they will stream into the lobby. So on the left side here, you will see your navigation tools. On the right, you can pose any questions and chat in the right here. But we're going to click sessions here so we don't have to look at the box within a box. And you can see the different programs that we have coming up. And at the top of this screen right here, you'll see the word filter. And the beauty of this system, one of the many incredible things, everything that you're seeing right now is listed in Eastern time because that's respective to where I live on Catawba, New Sioux land in Raleigh, North Carolina. So East Coast times are displayed, but when you log into the lobby, you will see them in your time so you don't have to do a conversion. And you can filter out, so we can have a look at what's happening tomorrow. We can scroll down. We have different programs that are offered. And at noon Eastern, we have an MLK celebration, birthday celebration with Pato and Antoinette and friends. And that will be followed by this incredible album, this compilation album that they've put together. They're doing a release. Sharing the backstory of how this incredible double CD came into being. So I'm looking forward to hearing that. And we have a documentary. We just have really broad offerings all centered around MLK legacy, beloved community, grandmother Patricia Ann Davis, Diné Choctaw. Also, some of us know that as Navajo inappropriately, but she's Diné Choctaw. She will be offering a program tomorrow as well. And then we have Connie Baxter Marlowe, who also is presenting, offering a session called MLK's Vision for the U.S. of A and What Will It Take? Tomorrow night, we have a call to peace, a beautiful flag ceremony put together by Fumi John Stewart. And you can, as you see events that you're interested in, this is another beautiful thing. You can click a little check like that, and it will give you a gold ribbon, a bookmark. And then when you click itinerary, it will show you the things that you are interested in attending. So no longer do you have to go back in through and see which thing you wanted to go to. You can actually create your own agenda for the 4-day weekend. So I hope this has been helpful, that you figure out as you're navigating through. You can always pose questions when you're back on the homepage. And myself, John Raymer, and Ingrid Fortmeyer will be checking that chat and responding to questions. You can also answer each other's questions too if you have answers. So this program, this convergence goes through Monday. So we had an incredible opening ceremony today with 22 prayers from women all around the world, and we'll be doing a closing prayer ceremony on Monday. And so we would love everybody to join us. So visit compassiongames.org/MLK and click register. And we would love to go deep in sacred listening with each other and in conversation around these things as we continue to expand our heart in understanding, in building and being beloved community. That's one of the great things that I feel I'm so incredibly grateful to Dr. King, because the seed of the idea when I was younger, this concept of beloved community has made me recognize I want to be with people who believe in that. And I think many people, all people do, we want to be part of beloved community. And I'm very grateful to see our global community of beloved community growing. And you all are part of that and invited to join us as we grow this global beloved community. So thank you so much for hearing and for watching my sharing. And Scott and Trish, thank you for the opportunity to invite everybody to join us.
Thank you, Becky, for just such an amazing job.
Can I mention one thing that Becky didn't get a chance to mention about this weekend as well, too?
Of course.
Yeah, it was just because all the part of the Compassion Games and the whole Convergence weekend and stuff. So one of the events is actually not listed on there, but I'm going to list it because it's also part of the 40 days. So in case this program isn't over just for this weekend, there will also be other events that's happening during the next 40 days. So stay tuned. The lobby will still always be open. Look and check back for other events that's actually happening, because on MLK Day, that Monday, we're actually putting on MLK Day in person in San Diego. And it's really going to be a spectacular in-person live event, but I didn't want to, because of timing, and it is a long day affair, Pato's actually going to work on the video. So we're going to be out there that day for the MLK Day in the community of service with the coat drive for the refugee community of the Haitian refugees at the border. And we'll be taking donations down there at the World Beat Center. All this, we'll be able to share that onto the lobby, onto the room and the event. So that'll be at a later date, but it's in the lobby.
Beautiful. Thank you, Antoinette. I'm planning on coming to what you and Pato are doing tomorrow, 11 a.m. my time, 2 o'clock Eastern. That looks great. I'm putting the spotlight on our beloved Connie Baxter Marlowe. It's 12:19 a.m. where you are, Connie, because you're also an East Coaster, right? Or are you back in Colorado?
I'm in Colorado now. We're at the Sunrise Ranch in Loveland, Loveland, Colorado. And yeah, thank you for spotlighting me. And what a great gift it's been to be here with Antoinette and Oshana, how you pronounce her name. What gifts you've brought us from your perspective. And it's just thank you. And what we're bringing in the MLK Convergence is MLK had a dream for the United States of America, that it was going to live up to the promise we made to the world with our freedom documents that brought all people here, all races, all colors, all cultures here to this land. And I feel that it's just key that we understand the multicultural beginnings of this nation, the spiritual beginnings of this nation. Martin Luther King was a spiritual activist. I mean, he came from that high place of faith. That song we just sang with Becky, he saw it, he knew it, because he saw it from his heart, what we can be. And it's just key that we come from that place and we see the spiritual beginnings of this nation that happened in Plymouth with the Mayflower Pilgrims and the Pokanoket Native people who came together in peace and friendship for 54 years because they shared a spiritual understanding of freedom of conscience, of freedom of us, of our innate right to act according to our direct connection to the divine. And that's just not known at all at this time, because revisionist history has trashed that period of time. So it's the origin story of this nation, and an origin story is so key for a nation. And I feel that it has us morally paralyzed because we have shame around the founding of this nation, which isn't true. There's a little light shining there that can open our hearts and say, yeah, we've done it before, we can do it again. The light we carry is in our hearts, and has to do with us coming together, all of us, and bringing peace on earth and heaven on earth. So anyway, that's what we're bringing to the party.
Beautiful, Connie. Thank you so much for what you're doing. And always, I love the programs you and Andrew do. So looking forward to seeing you in your program tomorrow. Thank you so much for that. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for being with us tonight. Well, I want to give each of our main presenters one last chance to say, and then I know that it's getting late, so we'll try and wrap up. Becky, it's the latest for you, so I'm going to go to you and give you a chance to say good night before we tuck you into bed. Any last sharings you want to?
Oh, I'm just so grateful. I really, this was a really extraordinary way to begin the weekend, being here with each of you, and I'm looking forward to what's to come. And want to thank Antoinette as well for pointing out that this is the beginning of the 40 days of service. And so we will bookend our convergence with another convergence on the 25th, 26th, and 27th of February. We'll have more opportunities to experience our beloved global community here. And so big hug to you, Antoinette. I love seeing our pink, the screens. And John pointed out to me yesterday, this makes a little heart in the middle with our background. It's like,
Look
a
at that.
heart, like a real heart. Like
It
I
is
see
very cute.
a aortic valve going through there.
This artist, she's very amazing. You know, the work that
Yes.
she's done it before for the New York Convergence and the Toronto
Yes,
Convergence.
Kara Stonehouse from the Hague Center, extraordinary.
It is. It's like very animated.
Mhm. I need her to come and do some graffiti on our land, along with Oshawa's artists. You know, I'm gonna do some major art exhibits. You know, because Pato and I just came in. We're now landowners. You know, for our community here in Lake Elsinore and stuff. You know, so this is building the love of community in person.
Beautiful. Thank you, Becky. I'm going to put the focus on Antoinette and Oshawa. And I guess since Antoinette brought up again, I want to go back one more time to the Marin City Arts and Culture Center. And please do support. I mean, all these beautiful, beautiful souls of so many different ages, races, colors, ways of thinking, and they're all expressing themselves. So go to the website, go to MC Arts and Culture, and support the artists. Take a look at their work, including look at the young people. I'm just going to grab, hopefully whoever I'm going to choose, it'll open up.
Yeah, I have a feeling something happened with the design. I don't know.
Nope.
Yeah,
Okay, we're gonna go back
it
to
might
this,
be.
though.
Yeah. But anyway, there's some other art. Yeah, this is good. This is actually, if you scroll down, you'll see the I Am Man. Look at this one.
Oh, wow.
That was actually Orrin Carpenter. He did the I Am Man piece, but yeah,
That's incredible.
definitely a king thing. But keep going, Scott, with his.
Wow.
That's a pretty.
Oh my God! Look,
pretty deep one.
at
Yeah,
some of this.
yeah, he does some abstracts, but there's a cup of coffee that you'll see on there, and Orrin's really great about taking things that are realistic and then combining an abstract component in it. This is
That
probably
one
not
is powerful. Look at that.
yeah.
Incarcerated soul.
Yeah, but yeah, someone's been on there. Yeah, this one too. The Frida.
Oh wow.
Yeah, that's very. Oh, this cup of coffee. Pause on the cup of coffee. Look in that cup of coffee, right? And the name of it is Can I Be Served? And if you look at it, it just looks like a cup of coffee, right? But look into the cup of the coffee.
I'm trying to save it. It's
right. Well, you can't, but I'm just going to tell people what they see in there. It looks like steam, but it's actually people at a lunch counter. So it's back. It was inspired by Birmingham, the Birmingham lunch counter sittings. And so he called it Can I Be Served?
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a lot there, but I think that sure, we'd love your donations, actually, because it's, we're definitely a startup, all those things that go along with it. But you could also take for those of you that are artists, you can take a live model drawing group. We have that going on Mondays at the gallery. We have the Audiobook Club that's coming up. As I announced, we have Octavia Butler is one of the authors with Parable of the Sower. We have the Kite Runner that's coming up, and we're doing another, it may be a Jack London or another Russian author that's futurism, dystopian and utopian fiction, and our and we have different events that are coming up. But I definitely encourage you to sign up to take some of those classes that are either online or coming in to the gallery. And you could also do a paint and sip. If you're wanting to do a paint and sip birthday party, you can contact us and just be in communication with what we're doing. But yeah, so visit us online and see what we're up to.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm going to pop it over to my partner, Trish. I think she's still here. There she is. Trish, any final thoughts for tonight?
My final thought is to really consider what was shared here, and to really step into decolonizing your brain and decolonizing your love. To really, to go back and rewatch this video and just contemplate what Antoinette and Oshawa shared, and what the meaning of the song that Becky sang, to really just sit with that and to make a choice about what side of history you want to be on. And I also invite you to look up Bridget's work, the Heal Thyself, the Remember Institute. And also the other person that we're having on is Sharif Abdullah, to look at his work as well, to support all of these people who shared in their vision, and to trust that it's in love. Because if you listen to it again, if you missed it, this is all love. So that's what I want to leave you with. Rewatch the video. Really support these people doing this work.
Beautiful. Thank you, Trish. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you, Trish.
Thanks, you guys. Mashallah, I would, that work is so beautiful. I would love to do a video. So I put the two YouTube links. Like I said, those two YouTube links, one says Black Lives Matter 2, and the other one says All Lives Matter. Two different titles, same video, same message. And then I'm telling you, it's a weird social experiment. But what ended up happening because of that weird social experiment, if anybody click on it, you'll see what happens. What do you get? You get a notification, a warning. This is what they do to us. They get a warning, and you have to jump through hoops. And then you're going to have to go through another thing before you can actually watch the video. It's almost censored. It's not necessarily censored.
No, but it is. It's clever. It's a clever futuristic.
Yes, it's a clever way of, this is how they censor Black people. And the thing is, this video, there's nothing offensive about this video.
Well, it was the same video. It was the same video.
But
so,
it's
yeah.
truth. It's how it's titled, but because of who is dictating what type of content can be put out there. You notice, because me and you will probably end up in Facebook jail more than anybody else will,
Yeah.
So that would get censored, but nothing else won't get censored. January 6th doesn't get censored. World Star Hip Hop doesn't get censored. Me and you could sit there and beat each other up and kill each other, and it'd be all gory, and that would not get censored.
No.
At all. They would rather see any of those things. But the minute Black people start talking about some truth and rights, then it gets censored. And it's such a beautiful thing. That's why. So my idea is, all right, if we can't to work around the censorizing, the beautiful artwork without the reality of the music. I would love to showcase the artwork from your artists. And I've got music. I got plenty of music. I could put different things.
Well, you can be one. You will be one of our artists because you will be joining MC Arts and Culture. So your little mug is going to be one of those in those little, round spaces, and you're going to have your video up there. So we will be able to have that social experiment on our site.
Yeah. So I'm going to put a link too on my website because it's like Black art needs to be shown.
Well, no, I'm saying we'll connect with you. One thing I did want to say in closing to everyone, because we sang the song "We Shall Overcome," and that is a very iconic song that's here in the United States with the civil rights movement. One of the things that's happening right now, and our brother talked about it a little bit, just the universalism of where we're at. I want to bring up Bob Marley's song "Exodus," Movement of the People. There's something happening right now that I want to call out to all of our brothers and sisters on this call. And that is that there are many of us here in the States and around the Black nation in the world that understand the power of the roots of Mother Africa and understand what has happened to her nature-wise, and that there is a movement. And I would say for our brothers and sisters that are really wanting to support Black people healing, a lot of trauma and all that, America is not really a safe place for a young Black boy to be. I'm just going to be really honest. Yeah. It's not. And I don't know how long, I'm in communication with a lot of mothers. We don't know how long we can really keep sacrificing each of our generations. So there is a strong movement to really relocate and go back and forth. We didn't have that option before because we weren't considered immigrants, but now we do. Africa is rising up. And I just want you all to be aware of that because that's like an inside conversation that I'm giving you that. The year of return with 2019 is strong, it's happening. Exodus is here. We're not going to completely leave, y'all. We're not going to, we're not going to leave completely, but there is a bigger picture, and that we really are seeing what's happening in this country right now.
Wow.
Marcus Garvey say.
Well, yes. I commit to continuing to bring on a lot of people of color, including Indigenous people.
Absolutely.
And that's why the Awakening World is my attempt to take what we've started with Global Peace Tribe and truly make it global, and to talk about the hard stuff. And so I love you, Oshawa, and I love you, Antoinette, and I love you, Becky, and I love all the many people that come, like wonderful Mystic Abbott Jerry, who comes every week. So thank you, everybody, for being with us. And just
can you highlight Mystic Abbott Jerry? I didn't really see his face.
Oh, there he is.
Highlight his face.
We love Mystic Abbott Jerry. He is the wild abbot of the Mystic
his name.
Monastery. He has 10,000 acres in Puerto Rico that he is the steward of, their own ecclesiastic nation. There's the Vatican and there's the Mystic Monastery.
We'd rather go to the Mystic Monastery.
No kidding.
We can leave the Vatican someplace else.
Absolutely.
I was there the year before the pandemic, so I'm coming back. I got to check it out and see it for myself. I'm coming to see it.
All right, Mystic Abbott.
You're welcome.
Jerry's always supporting us and always with us and just brings so much love and joy. And really, thank you to everybody, Connie and Omashar and Becky and Carol and Elizabeth. And if I haven't mentioned your name, know that I love you, Eleanor, Anthony, all the people that come every week. It's time for some of us to go get dinner. It's time for some of us to go to bed. And please remember to join us tomorrow night as we continue the Awakening World, celebrating, honoring Martin Luther King and his vision. We're going to get more Antoinette tomorrow and Ponto. And we also have some other wonderful, wonderful presenters that are going to be with us. And beautiful music. Nina Gray, one of my favorite musical artists, will be with us live, singing songs, sharing from her heart. So please join us tomorrow night. Remember, if you've joined our Zoom room, if you're a Global Peace Tribe member, come on in at 5:30 for our early Zoom room. And then tomorrow night's after show is going to be Antoinette and possibly Pato telling us all about their courses, these new courses that they're launching. So
Yes, we both will.
we've got all, okay, great. We're going to get it's a double header. So good night, everybody. God's blessings.
Bless
Love
you,
you so
sir.
much. I'll go to
Okay.
gallery review for one moment and look forward to seeing you all tomorrow.
Bye bye, everybody.
Good
Peace
night,
out.
everybody.